Alright, well, I've got something a little bit different in here today. This is a 97, I believe, Saturn something or other. I don't know, it's my cousin's car, and he had a belt that was squealing like crazy when he fired it up one morning, so he called me, and I went over there and fired it up, and sure enough, there was a pretty good squeal. And I started driving it back to my place, and it went away almost immediately after I revved it up a little bit. I got back to my place and I got it to do it again by actually turning on the heater, and it started squealing like crazy again. So I came out here and I looked at it, and the sound was coming from back here. Sounded like the alternator was making the noise. So I went ahead and loosened the tension on the belt to take it off, and the first thing I noticed was the tensioner stayed in the release position. It didn't try to put tension back on the belt when I let it go. So that tells me that arm is sticking and it's not putting enough tension on the belt, or at least it wasn't at the time. And when I turned on the blower fan, the alternator was under more load, the electrical system, and the belt couldn't spin it and it was slipping on it. I did go ahead and I turned all the pulleys with the belt off, and alternator seemed fine, power steering was fine. There was a little bit of noise coming from the AC, but that's not where the main squeal was coming from, so we're just going to let that slide for now. And I'm going to go ahead and replace that tensioner down there. And when I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be a real pain in the butt, because I've never worked on one of these Saturns. You can't even get your hand in there to work on anything, but the tensioner is way down there. I'm going to try to get a picture of that bolt. It's you can't see it, but there's one bolt right there on the top. And I went to my friend the internet, and apparently you can get in from underneath here. You take this wheel off and the splash shield's there, and you can get to that bottom bolt and pull that tensioner out from the bottom. It also makes it a lot easier to get the belt back on the crank pulley, because doing that from the top is a real trick. So I'm going to go ahead and jack the car up. I'm going to take this wheel off and the splash shields, and we'll come in from the top with a 14mm wrench, and we'll release the tension on this belt, take that off, and should be good to go to replace it. Alright, well, I've kind of jumped ahead a little bit because things are going real quick, but basically what I've got done is I've got the belt off. You use a 14mm wrench, and if you need to make it longer, you can take a pipe and put on the end of it and tape it. So the guy in the video I watched did, and it worked pretty well for him, but I was able to get that. So if you're having trouble with it, you can do that. And I've started to loosen up this top bolt. Now with the wrench on, it might give you kind of a better idea of where it is. Hopefully you can see that fairly good. It's kind of tough to get in there, but that's where it is. And I've also come down here. I've removed the wheel, obviously, and two splash shields right there. It's just a clip each. I believe there's one down in this corner and another clip down here somewhere, down in this area, that you need to remove. Hey, it actually looks better without the light. I think I'm gonna go without the light for a bit. But anyway, here's my crank pulley. This whole shield was covering this, so getting the belt around this with this off is a real pain in the butt. So even just changing the belt, taking this off, it's pretty quick, and it makes the job a million times easier, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And if we look up here, we can see the other bolt we need to remove. Right here, this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take the top bolt out, and then we'll work on this one. It's a good rule of thumb to do the most difficult looking bolt first, just to get it out of the way. And also, if you take all the easy bolts off and the hard bolt is the only one holding it on, it makes it that much harder to get the difficult bolt out. So always go for the hardest ones first. Alright, I've gone ahead and I've taken this top bolt out here. I wouldn't say it's extremely difficult, but it's extremely annoying because you can't really get in there real well to turn the bolt, but it is out. And I've gone ahead and I've broken this one here loose already, so I'll bring you up here, see if we can't, ooh, too high, see if we can't get a good shot of this, and it should be loose. Alright, I got you set up here so you can see what I'm doing, and what I used to take it off was a 6.10mm socket. I used it on both the top and the bottom bolt. Use the 6-point because you have a less of a chance of rounding it off, which these bolts are not the easiest to get to, so if you rounded it off it would be that much more difficult to remove it. So at this point I've already broken it loose, and I can just take it out by hand, hopefully, and then we can remove the tensioner and put the new one in. Makes it easier if you use a socket with an extension or just a socket to turn the bolt by hand. I wasn't able to do it on the top bolt because there just wasn't enough room, but the bolt's out. Set that aside and we'll pull the tensioner, and there she is. Now we can throw in the new tensioner. Nice new shiny thing I got right here. Get it set into place, and I'll just start this bottom bolt just enough to hold it. And then I can align the top and put that bolt in, which I'm going to imagine is not going to be the funnest thing in the world, but I'll get her done. And then after I've got these tightened back down, I'll show you how to put the belt back on, because that's kind of tricky. Just the way this is with the shield on is tricky. Without it, it's pretty easy. So that one's started. I'll finish tightening it up, and then I'll move to the top. Alright, I've got the top and bottom bolt in and tightened down now. You can see the tensioner there. It's really hard to get a good view of that bolt with the camera. But I've got it in, and I guess I'll share with you a little trick here. When you're putting it in, when you first start, you're going to try to turn the wrench and the bolt's just going to spin either way, and what you want to do is grab onto the socket and hold it, but on this car there's just not enough room. So what I did to get that in there was I got this on the bolt, this socket, and then I grabbed it with a pair of needle nose pliers, and you can hang on to it, and that'll help you out a little bit. But they're both in now. Next step is going to be putting this belt back on, and it's easy enough. We'll get this top part over if we can here and get it back around to this side, which is a bit tricky with one hand, but we can do it. Here we go. And we'll just kind of get it sort of in place. We can reach most of that from the bottom. And on this car, the first place you want to get the belt around is the crankshaft pulley, because that's probably the hardest part to do from the top. It can be done, but it's difficult. Now you want to route it on the back side of the tensioner, and just make sure that it's placed fairly well on the crank pulley. And a lot easier when you can reach down here and the belt isn't out like this, because when the belt gets out like this, trying to do it from the top with this shield on is an exercise to say the least. So we're going to get this back on here, and we can let it rest there. We can pull it up from the top and route it around all our belts, or all our pulleys. And this car is real nice. It's got a diagram right on the core support here, and it also has the different belt routings for if you don't have AC, or you don't have power steering, or you don't have both. These little dashed lines will tell you how to do it. And that's another thing, if your AC compressor goes out, locks up, whatever, and you want to bypass it, I believe you can just get a shorter belt. You can get the belt for the one that does not have AC, and you can route that in there, and it should work. Not 100%, but I believe you can do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this belt on, get it looped around all the pulleys, and then put the tensioner to it. Alright, I've got the belt routed where it needs to be, except for this pulley right down here. I'm going to have to go ahead and move the tensioner and push that belt on. That seems to be the easiest place to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the tensioner. I'm going to pull it towards the front of the car, and that'll release the tension on it, and it should be able to slip that belt in. We'll see how it works. It does make it easier if your wrench is longer, but we're going to see if I can do this. It's got a lot more tension than the old one. I'll just get that ready. And make sure I'm on the bolt. There we go. Almost there. Got to get a better grip. These cars are the reason I don't like working on cars, unless they're my own, because I buy old junk. Come on. Well, that's lovely. I think I have actually rounded that bolt on the tensioner a little bit. I have a little bit. Hopefully we can make this work. There we go. Alright, she's on now. Cool. Just take a quick look and make sure it's on everything the way it should be. And it is. Had a little trouble there. Rounded off the edge of that bolt on the tensioner when I was up here, so I had to go from the bottom. Get a different grip on it, but that's alright. I made it work. And let's fire it up. Make sure the noise is gone. Well, seems to be good from here. I like it.